A massive legal war is brewing over one of the coldest nicknames in sports history, and it involves a rising NFL superstar, a furious NBA Hall of Famer, and a UFC legend. Chicago's franchise quarterback Caleb Williams is trying to lock down the Iceman trademark, but basketball icon George Gervin is stepping out of the shadows to fight back. If you want the raw truth behind the biggest battles in the sports world, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe right now. To truly understand how this exploded into a national controversy, we have to look at how the modern business of sports actually operates. We are watching a phenomenal young quarterback take the league by storm, delivering jaw-dropping, clutch performances when the game is on the line. In the freezing trenches of the gridiron, having a cool nickname isn't just a fun bonus anymore. In today's ruthless sports business, you have to own it. You have to monetize it. You have to protect your brand before somebody else steals the rights right out from under you. On March 16th, Caleb's camp filed 4 distinct trademark applications with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. We are talking about legally slapping the word Iceman on everything from athletic apparel, sweatshirts, and jerseys, to downloadable digital trading cards and water bottles. It was a calculated, genius business move by a 24-year-old kid who fundamentally understands that the modern athlete is a walking, talking corporation. But did Caleb's inner circle even stop to think about the absolute legends who paved the way and bled for that exact same nickname decades ago? Enter George Gervin. For those of you who might be too young to remember the absolute magic he brought to the court, George Gervin didn't just play basketball. He revolutionized swagger on the hardwood. He was the original Iceman. He dominated the ABA and the NBA with an effortless style that nobody could replicate. He even played his final phenomenal season with the Bulls back in 1986. The San Antonio Spurs literally retired his number 44 jersey. He has proudly worn the Iceman moniker for over 40 years. When he heard about this 24-year-old quarterback trying to legally claim his identity, he was stunned. He told ESPN reporter Courtney Cronin that he never thought anybody would try to trademark it, and admitted that Caleb essentially knocked him right out of the box. So, just 4 days after Caleb's initial filing, George Gervin struck back. His team fired off 2 trademark applications of their own for Iceman and Iceman 44. This is exactly where the drama hits an absolute fever pitch. According to trademark attorney Josh Gervin, the legal system doesn't always care about your feelings, your history, or your nostalgic legacy. Gervin pointed out that even though Gervin has literally been using the nickname for nearly half a century, the United States Patent and Trademark Office might just hand the commercial rights directly to Caleb simply because his team sprinted to file the paperwork first. First to file holds massive, unbelievable power in the business world. But wait, it gets even crazier. There is a massive, violent wildcard thrown into the middle of this legal mess. UFC Hall of Famer Chuck Liddell. That's right. The legendary mixed martial artist filed for a trademark back in 2023 for Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Gervin noted that the trademark office could look at all of this chaos and decide that Chuck's existing mark is way too similar to what Caleb and Gervin are asking for. This could easily trigger an unprecedented 3-way legal standoff between a franchise quarterback, a basketball legend, and a cage fighter. This brings us to our question of the day. Do you think a 24-year-old quarterback has the absolute right to trademark a historic nickname just because he filed the paperwork first? Or does Iceman belong to George Gervin forever based on pure legacy? Drop your hottest take in the comments below right now, because I want to know exactly where you stand on this. Of course, you cannot have a massive internet controversy without certain media personalities trying to hijack the spotlight for their own gain. Skip Bayless decided to insert himself into the absolute center of the chaos, completely ripping into Caleb on social media. Skip blasted out to the world that while he claims to be a fan of the young quarterback, he is a much bigger Gervin fan, and he is deeply offended that Caleb and his company are trying to, quote, steal George's all-time great nickname. He used that specific word intentionally to stir the pot, farm outrage, and desperately get viewers to tune into his podcast. It was a classic bait tactic from a guy trying to hang on to relevance in the modern media landscape. But if you know anything about Caleb Williams, you know he does not just sit back and take disrespect from talking heads. He snapped back on Twitter with absolute venom. Caleb made it crystal clear that he doesn't care about Skip's fandom, or his opinions. He called Skip foolish for not understanding basic business principles and trying to spin a financial decision into a moral failing. And then, in a legendary, savage mic drop moment, Caleb posted a screenshot of the literal dictionary definition of the word steal, proving that securing a legal trademark for a brand is the exact opposite of malicious theft. Caleb even told Skip that words matter, sarcastically telling him to enjoy his podcast. Let's just take a step back and breathe for a second, because the internet is losing its collective mind over this, and frankly, a lot of the hate directed at Caleb is totally unwarranted. People who already harbor a massive grudge against this kid are using this trademark dispute as free ammunition to paint him as some arrogant, disrespectful villain who wants to erase a basketball legend from the history books. That narrative is completely false. Caleb Williams did not crown himself the Iceman. He didn't stand in front of a mirror and scheme to steal a moniker from a 60-something-year-old Hall of Famer. The nickname was born organically on the field. It was birthed in the freezing snow, in the most high-pressure clutch moments, during chaotic fourth-quarter comebacks. His teammate, Luther Burden III, looked at him after a miraculous drive and called him the Iceman. It wasn't a calculated PR stunt. The fans heard it, and they ran with it. The commentators saw it on national television, and they ran with it. Caleb just embraced the energy that the city gave him. He started doing the ice-cold shiver celebration after throwing game-winning touchdowns. It became his undeniable aura. It became a symbol of his ability to stay entirely calm on the outside while a roaring fire burned on the inside. When his management team, a group of highly aggressive, forward-thinking business minds, saw the incredible momentum, they did what any smart team would do in the modern era of sports. They filed the paperwork. Do we really think Caleb Williams sat down in a dark room and maliciously plotted against George Gervin? Absolutely not. It is entirely possible, and highly likely, that a Gen Z quarterback and his young marketing team weren't heavily researching a player whose prime ended 40 years ago. This is not a personal attack. It is a calculated branding play to capitalize on a massive, undeniable wave of momentum. Let's also be brutally honest about the business side of this equation. George Gervin has been the Iceman for over 4 decades. He had 40 years to walk into a lawyer's office, file the exact same trademark applications for apparel, water bottles, and digital assets, and lock this identity down forever. He chose not to do it. You cannot be entirely furious that a savvy young athlete beat you to the punch in the digital age when you intentionally left the door wide open for almost half a century. That is just the cold, hard reality of the corporate sports world. Does Caleb deserve it more than Gervin? Not necessarily. Does Gervin deserve it more than Caleb? Maybe in the hearts of nostalgic sports fans, but absolutely not necessarily in the cold eyes of the law. At the end of the day, no matter what happens in the United States Patent and Trademark Office months from now, George Gervin will always be the NBA's undeniable Iceman. A piece of paper does not erase a legendary Hall of Fame legacy. But simultaneously, Caleb Williams has absolutely earned the right to be the NFL's Iceman for an entirely new generation of fans. Multiple people can share a nickname in the massive, expanding ecosystem of global sports. It happens all the time. But the legal battle for the exclusive rights to print that name on a t-shirt and profit off of it. That is going to be a fascinating, cutthroat process to watch unfold. Either Caleb gets the trademark, or he gets denied. Either Gervin secures it, or he gets rejected. Or maybe Chuck Liddell's past filing completely complicates the entire situation for everybody involved. Whatever the final outcome is, it's just business. It's a new era where athletes are no longer just employees wearing a team's jersey. They are powerful, independent brands taking aggressive control of their own financial destinies. And honestly, it is amazing to see a young quarterback generating this much passion, fierce debate, and absolute madness across the internet, because it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are watching a truly relevant superstar in the making. I will absolutely be watching the legal updates closely because final decisions on these applications are expected to take several months to process. Until then, the noise, the tweets, and the intense debates will keep raging on across every social media platform. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave, so you never miss a single deep dive breakdown of the wildest stories in the sports world. Stay passionate, keep the debate going in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.